Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you so much for joining me today for our Nimble training webinar. My name is Michaela Underdahl, and I'm Nimble's community manager. Today's session is being recorded, and everybody who registered will receive a recording later today. If you have any questions during today's session, please use the question box to let us know. My colleague Megan's compiling all the questions in the background, and I'll make sure to spend some time at the end of the session to answer all of your questions. And during the next 45 minutes, I will show you how you can use the Nimble extension to prospect anywhere on the web and easily bring up either existing records and update them with any information you found, or create new records and put them on the nurture track inside of your Nimble CRM. But before we start, I would like to talk about what Nimble is. So Nimble is an easy-to-use customer relationship management tool that helps small to medium-sized businesses and entrepreneurs to manage their business relationships better. It integrates with both Office 365 and Gmail and G Suite, and unifies all your contacts, calendars, and communications into one place. We have all the basic CRM follow-up features, like you can use to schedule to-dos for yourself or anybody or on your team to ensure that things are getting done and nothing is falling through the cracks. On top of that, Nimble has a segmentation feature that allows you to segment your database into targeted groups, as well as group message feature, which you can then utilize to message these segmented groups. And then we also give you the insights on the clicks and opens, so you always know how people are interacting with your message, and we give you the information that you'll need in order to follow up appropriately. Nimble also has deals and pipeline management feature together with reporting, and the pricing is $25 per month per user, and it goes down to $19 when you pay annually. And today we'll be focusing on using the Nimble extension to prospect anywhere on the web. So first, I want to spend a few seconds on explaining what the extension is and what it does. And what it is, it's basically an extension of Nimble. So it allows you to use Nimble outside of Nimble. And the biggest reason why I think it's so awesome is that it will save you a lot of time on data entry, and also it can make you much more effective in what you're doing, because instead of you having to jump from where you're already talking to somebody to open another tab, then log into Nimble and type the information in, the extension will allow you to do it from where you are, like in your inbox, on social media, any third-party applications, or anywhere on the web, like when you're on the company's website. And we will cover all these scenarios. But before we start, if you're not using the extension yet, please go to nimble.com/widget, and my colleague Megan will also drop the link in the questions box so you can go directly to the site. We have the extension available on all main browsers. So as you see, I'm using Chrome. When you first land on the landing page, we will know what browser you are on. So just look for this green button. It will guide you to the appropriate store where you can download it. So we have it on Chrome, Safari, Firefox, and it's also available on Microsoft Edge. We also have mobile applications, so you can download them for both Android and iPhone. And if you want to use the inbox extensions, which I highly recommend, if you're using G Suite or Google, it's enough to download the Chrome extension. We will automatically plug into your Gmail. But if you're using Office 365 or Outlook, you'll also have to download it here. So you can just click on the icon here, and we will automatically plug into your Outlook inboxes. We also list all the social media platforms where Nimble works, and we will also cover them during today's session. We also have a quick recording here, so you can take a look after today's webinar to refresh any of the knowledge that you learn. So I would actually like to start in our inboxes, because that's where probably most of us spend the most time. So I'm personally mostly using Gmail. So the way it works is that I can just open any email from anybody, and Nimble will be always sitting on the right side here, helping me to surface contact records for people I already have in Nimble. But since we're talking about prospecting and learning more information about people that we might want to sell to, it also helps me to create new records. So I received this email from Dennis, and I don't really know who Dennis is, but Nimble helps me to save time on having to open another tab, type Dennis's name into Google or possibly also LinkedIn, and go and then log the information into my CRM and then do all the next steps. So as you see, all I did was that I open his email, and this is we call this live profile. So Nimble already created this rich record for me without me having to do anything. So we also integrate with a company called Circleback. And what Circleback does is that it's reading people's signatures. So when you open an email, Nimble will automatically take the information from their signature and put it into the contact record. And the rich profile that you are looking at right now, it's still not a Nimble record. So this is where I think it can really help you save time, because instead of having to do all the research and then maybe deciding that it's not the right lead, maybe you don't even want to add them to your database, you can just quickly take a look here. If you wanted to do some more research, Nimble already found a LinkedIn profile for Dennis as well as his Facebook. So you would be able to just click on those icons and then be taken to his LinkedIn and Facebook profiles to find out even more. If the Circleback integration doesn't return any email address, and this is, of course, if we were using the extension elsewhere than in your inbox, you would be able to use our contact discovery feature that we call Nimble Prospector. So every time you see this green button, we have it in various different places in the web app and also on the extension. So every time you see this green button and you would want to look for people's contact information, you could just click that, and as long as you know their first name, last name, and the company they work for, we would be able to find their email address. I already have it for Dennis because he sent me an email, but if I didn't, this is where you could use Nimble Prospector. Nimble comes when you sign up for Nimble, we give you 25 Nimble Prospector credits for free to test out the feature, and if it's something that you would want to take more advantage of, you could always email us at care@nimble.com and ask for upgrades and pricing. So Dennis definitely looks like somebody I would like to be connected with. So I can easily click here, add to Nimble, and Nimble already pre-filled all the information that it was able to access just from me opening the email. So I could also put a tag on him, like a CRM writer. I could do any edits here, could change his title, could also manually add any information I need. If everything looks good, I can just save it. And this way I already have Dennis in my database. If I save it and then later find out that I made a mistake, I could quickly edit the record straight from my inbox. I can also then take the next step, because when we have a prospect that we definitely want to reach out to, we want to make sure that we schedule the next step so we don't forget. So the next step could be a task, and it could be a task for myself. I could write a description here or set the due date, or I could also assign it to anybody else on my team. I could also create an event and put it on my calendar, but also schedule it as a call. I could add a note. So that could be anything that Dennis mentioned in his email or anything else that I found about him when I reviewed his LinkedIn profile. It could be that he only wants to be contacted via LinkedIn direct message or anything else. I could also straight put him on my into my funnel in Nimble. I could create a deal for him, could set up the expected closure day, the expected amount, could add any participants to the deal, and this is where I could toggle between what pipeline. I already touched on the fact that Nimble offers multiple deals pipeline, which is very useful if you're selling more than one product. You can also use it for project management tool, and that's something we'll be touching on in another webinar. So I could quickly select the pipeline I want to put him on, and also put him on the appropriate stage. Additionally, and this is not that useful if I'm using it inside of my inbox, but it will be when we're maybe using the extension on LinkedIn or Facebook. I could quickly send him a message from here. And Nimble also has a tracking feature. So you could also select this box here, and Nimble would track the message and then give you the insights on the clicks and opens, so you know, so you're notified every time the person opens your email, and then maybe you can send him a follow-up or give him a quick call at the right time when he's actually thinking about you while reviewing your email. I could also go straight to LinkedIn and send him a message there, or Facebook as well. So this is how it works inside of Gmail. For those of you that are on Outlook, we also work there. We work on the Outlook web app, which you can see here. It just looks a little different. So I received this email from Microsoft, and I don't have this contact record inside of Nimble. If I wanted to, I could quickly say add to contacts, add any value I want. Looks very similar as in Gmail. And I could quickly save it and then do any of the actions I just showed you in Gmail. I could add the contact record. I could quickly add a note, task, deal, event. I could also mark them as important and schedule stay in touch reminder. And in this case, Nimble would then make sure to remind me on a weekly or monthly basis that it's time to call this person or this company, send them an email, or just get in touch. You can also put any tags on here. So if you want to organize your leads with a tag first before you enter them into your funnel as an opportunity, you could also create a tag straight from your inbox. So this is Outlook web application. It also works on the desktop one. So on desktop, we actually, when you download the Outlook extension, we will automatically add little Nimble logo in here. So you can quickly click on it and then do the same stuff. So in this case, I already have Yarjas in my database, so it pulled his existing record. But if I didn't have him, it would work the same way I just showed you on the Microsoft example on the web app. I mentioned LinkedIn several times, so I would like to show you LinkedIn as the first example of how Nimble works on social media platforms. So here we are, and that's probably where most of you will be prospecting. So once you download the extension on the browser you're using, and if you're switching between browsers, you can download it on all of them, and then every time you're doing research or anything, you'll be able to use the Nimble extension. So you just land on the site that you want to be working on, open up the Nimble extension, and the way it works is that you can basically just hover over any name anywhere, and Nimble will already be doing the research for you in the background. So this is Gabriela. She works for Microsoft. So Nimble already knows that she also is active on Twitter. So it is her. I can tell by the picture. I can also tell by her description. So without even adding her to my Nimble database, I can create this rich contact record and then review if she's somebody that I want to add to Nimble. In this case, I definitely want to add her. I could also follow her on Twitter right from the extension on LinkedIn. And just to let you know, in order to be able to do that, you would first have to add your Twitter inside of Nimble in settings. I've already done that, so I can just follow her from here. I can add her Nimble just like this. I can put a tag on her, save, and I could use the Nimble extension to try to find her email address. if you're searching for email addresses using the Nimble Prospector tool, and maybe we return a message that says not verified, we will still give you the email that we found. But because we were not able to verify on our end that it actually is a correct email address, and okay, so great example, it actually happened with Gabriela right here. We think this might be the correct address, but we are not able to verify, and therefore we are not going to charge you the 1 credit that it usually costs to run the lookup. So you can still go ahead, take the address, try to send Gabriela an email, but we're kind of letting you know that it might bounce because we were not able to verify. This doesn't happen very often, but just to let you know that if you do see it, you are at least not getting charged by us because we were not able to verify it. So just like that, Nimble created this record for Gabriela, so I could add further information on her, I could further qualify her, and all these lead source and lead status and lead type fields inside of Nimble are completely customizable. So in settings in Nimble, you would be able to add them and make them fit your business model. So this is how you could use the extension when you're going through your feed. Maybe somebody like Eamon, who I'm connected with, was interacting with Gabriela, who I'm not personally connected with. So then I was able to just quickly prospect her, add her to Nimble. But sometimes you might be going through a post that got a lot of attention like this one, and maybe you would want to see who the people are that are interacting with this. So I could quickly go through the list of the people that reacted to the post in any way, and Nimble would be doing the prospecting for me. So if I come across somebody I would want to add to my Nimble database, I can do it exactly the same way I just showed you with Gabriela. But just go through the people that like the status or the post. And LinkedIn just recently added these reactions that we're used to seeing on Facebook. So you can also go through the list of the people that really, really like the post. You can also do it in comments. So you could quickly hover over the people, go through them, add them to Nimble. This is one way. You can, of course, go directly to the person's profile, and Nimble will know that you're on their profile. And in this case, I added Gabriela just a second ago, so Nimble already showed me an existing profile for her. So then I could take the next step, create a task for me or somebody on my team, and ask them to help me to do the next step with her. Many of you will probably also be using the LinkedIn search. So when you're prospecting, and I'm also just using the free version of LinkedIn. So if you're on the paid account, you will have more options than me in terms of the lookups here. So I just quickly search for the title VP of Sales. I can use the other filters. Maybe I'll be looking for VP of Sales in United States, in the information technology and services industry. I can apply the filter, and here I can just quickly go through the people and see if Nimble gives me more information about them. So I don't know Beth, she just showed up in the search. I just typed in, but Nimble already knows that she's also active on Twitter. I can tell it's her by the description. So if I want to quickly add that to the contact record and preview what it would look like if I decided to add her, I could do so. I could, of course, use Nimble Prospector here. I could go straight to her LinkedIn profile and open it in a different tab, or add her to Nimble and apply a tag for her. So this is how you can use the extension on LinkedIn. If you guys see any other use cases on LinkedIn that I haven't covered, please let us know in the questions and we'll go back to it. I mentioned that it works the same on all the other platforms, so we can also go onto Facebook, test it out on my timeline. And as you can see, I don't have Vivica in my Nimble account because it shows that it's a live profile. So if I wanted to add her, I could quickly do that. I could also quickly go through the list of people that have engaged with her posts and kind of see who they are, where they work. Would they be somebody that maybe I could reach out to and offer my services or my product to? So that's one way. It will also work well in any groups that you might be a part of. You can, of course, go through the people that commented on the post. And I was just watching a video that a social media scheduling tool called Agorapulse that we also use internally did. And it was really interesting, and I love the engagement they were getting. So this is another way that you could use to not just prospect, but also use it as an engagement tool. You could quickly see who is engaging with any Facebook Lives that you are doing, or any post that you may have posted on any of your company profiles. Or you could also do it on your competitor side. So if you have a list of your competitors, you can quickly go through their Facebook pages and see what are the questions that people are asking. Then you can use it maybe in your content marketing to make sure that you're addressing these questions. And you can also maybe outreach to the people that are asking about features that your competitor doesn't have, but you do. So you could quickly just hover over them, add them to Nimble, apply a tag to them. And if you would be responsible for the outreach, you could schedule tasks for yourself. But maybe if it's somebody else on your team, you could quickly either create a tag for them, assign it to them, or you could also just let them know that you tag them with a specific tag and tell them to go after all the people that have been tagged this way. For those of you that are using Twitter, you could also use Nimble on Twitter, and there's a lot of different ways how you can do it. So of course, you can just hover over any company or any individual, and Nimble will create contact records for them or bring up the existing ones. But if you are using Twitter, you know that Twitter is really, really noisy place. So I personally don't even go through my feed because it's so noisy. So I'm using Twitter lists to create groups of people to make sure that I'm always focused when I go to Twitter and don't get distracted. So you could use the extension to take a look at the people that are engaging with you. I'll just try to bring it up again to wake it up. Maybe I need to quickly refresh. Okay, here we go. So if somebody's engaging with my post, okay, so I was still refreshing. Here we go. Okay, so if in case I don't know who John is, but he really enjoyed the post I shared on Twitter, I could quickly create a record for him and find out more about him and see if I want to engage with him further. Since I mentioned the Twitter lists, as long as the Twitter lists are public, you will be able to add them to Nimble directly from the Twitter interface. So of course you can use the extension. You can go to members and see an entire list of these people and then go through them one by one and possibly add them to Nimble. If you find a Twitter list that was curated very, very well and all the people on it are people that you would want to bring into Nimble, you can use our Twitter plugin here. We'll automatically name it Twitter list dash the name of the list, but you can completely customize it and then import it into Nimble. So then you would just click this check mark and Nimble would be importing it into your Nimble database on the back end. Once the import is finished, we will also notify you by email. And let me actually go to a list that has individuals. So I personally use this a lot to prospect writers because I'm also responsible for PR here at Nimble. So if you haven't used Twitter lists in the past, I would really recommend checking them out. Even if you're not active on Twitter, if you're not engaging people, I really recommend Twitter as like a prospecting tool for PR. And especially journalists, they're very active on Twitter. So you could find one journalist. It could be a journalist that maybe mentioned you in the past, or they mention a competitor. You could go on there. Let me just find somebody. Garrett. Let's see if Garrett's using lists. So he's not a good example. Let's see, Kimmy. So you could go on their Twitter profile and see if they're using Twitter lists. And if they are, you could quickly either subscribe to the list if they're public, or if you don't want to subscribe to them, you don't have to. You could use the extension to just hover over the name and bring them into Nimble and tag them, or you could use the import and bring them in bulk. One thing I would like to mention before importing anybody in bulk, make sure that all the people on there are people that you definitely want to have in your CRM database, because the worst thing you can do, and especially if you're getting started, is to bring in a bunch of people from a bunch of different places and then mess up your database. If you keep it really clean, it's more likely that you'll stick with it, and it will become a place where you love going because you're organized. You can quickly pull up the important list of people and always be able to quickly do the next step with them. So these are lists, and I still promise to find somebody that is actually using lists. So let me try one more time. Okay, so this is where I couldn't see it. So Twitter actually changed the interface. So instead of finding the list here, you have to click on the three dots and then go to view lists. So this is where you can view all the lists that this specific Twitter account curated. So this is Social Media Examiner, and they put up a conference every year called Social Media Marketing World. So they always curate a great list of all their speakers, which this can also be very helpful for you when you go to trade shows. If you go to any conferences, you can add any of the speakers inside of Nimble and then start engaging with them. You can search, you can go through the conference hashtags as you're preparing for the conference and see who are the other companies that are coming. What are your competitors doing in preparation for the trade show or the conference? Or are there any influencers that you would want to meet up with, or any of your clients going? And then you could use the extension to quickly create a task for yourself to reach out to them and make sure that you schedule a meeting while you're at the conference with them. So these are the main social media sites that I wanted to cover today. But I mentioned that we work everywhere. So we also work inside of any third-party applications. We are using Intercom internally. We use it as a marketing automation tool, and also it does many other things. So many times when people enter from a webinar landing page, we don't know much about them. They give us their first name, last name, and their email address, but we don't really know who they are, on top of that. So I could use the Nimble extension here as well. I could just hover over the lead that just came in, and Nimble would either bring up existing record or create a live profile, and it will give me a little more information about who the person is, where they're located. I could add them to Nimble again and schedule any task for anybody on the team to do the next step with them. So I'm only showing Intercom as one example of a third-party application. You can use it in any web-based application. So it can be another CRM. It can be Microsoft Dynamics. It can be Zoho or Insightly. It can be MailChimp or Xero or any SaaS application that you're using. Since we're talking about these integrations, we also partnered with a company called PySync, which allow you to set up a direct integration between these applications and Nimble. So inside of Nimble, you would go into settings and then networks and imports. And when you click on contacts, this is where you could review a list of all the applications that we integrate with via PySync. The way it works is that PySync offers all our customers a 14-day trial during which you can import your entire database from the other application that you're using into Nimble. And then after that, if you plan to sync less than 2,000 contacts per month, the integration would remain free. If you have more contacts that you would like to keep in bidirectional sync, then there would be a charge associated with that. And Megan can actually send a link to the question box to PySync's pricing page where you can see how much it would cost you. But if you're only bringing the contacts in to Nimble, I would definitely recommend using it. And again, you can either go through the list here, or you can type in the name of the application you would like to sync, and we would bring it up. The integration works on setting up rules. So you can, for instance, set up a rule if a new contact record is created in MailChimp, bring them into Nimble, then bring them into Nimble and also apply this specific tag. So it can really help you to take the next step with the person. So these are third-party applications we covered Outlook. I also wanted to show you how it works on the web. So you might be, and I can't even type the name of our company. So here we are on our website. I can also use the Nimble extension to create a company record. So before we were just focusing on individuals, but I can also quickly create company records. So Nimble's already telling me all this information about this company. It will work on any company, so we can quickly see what we would be able to find on Starbucks. So one thing to pay attention when you're using the extension is to pay attention to where you're hovering. So I landed on starbucks.com, but then my cursor went somewhere else. So wherever your cursor is, that's where Nimble would be trying to read it and create the profile for it. So just always make sure that you're either just staying on the main side, and especially if you're on LinkedIn, that you're not hovering over any text on your timeline. So this is all the information that we were able to find for this specific company, which is really nice and can really give you an idea about if this company is a good prospect or not. Sometimes you might also be looking in the About Us question. So let's just pick on one company. Let's see. Okay, Walker Sands. Already tested them before the webinar. So this company has a nice About Us section. So you could quickly look at it and find the appropriate person who might be the right decision maker to reach out to. Sometimes you'll be able to just hover over them. Sometimes it will be necessary to highlight their name. In this example, I was able to just hover over Mike's name, and Nimble already knows that, yes, Michael's active on Twitter. He's also active on LinkedIn. I could quickly add him to Nimble, apply a tag for him, or qualify him here. Another place where I'm personally using Nimble extension to prospect is in Forbes or any other articles or any other websites. So I could be on this article, reading it. It might be a mention about Nimble, or it can be an article that mentioned a competitor. Maybe it's a list of recommended CRMs, and the writer didn't include Nimble, and maybe I would want to reach out to him to introduce him to Nimble. I could just bring up his contact record here by hovering over him. Add him to Nimble, put a tag on him. And then before reaching out, I could, since Nimble was able to find Alex on Twitter, I can make sure to follow him on Twitter, start interacting with his content there, kind of put my name out there before I even reach out to him. So then when I use Nimble Prospector to find his email address and email him, he already recognizes the name because I already showed that I'm interested in what he's writing about. So this is another place where I'm using this widget, and it's been really helpful in our PR efforts. So one last thing I wanted to show you today is how you can go on your competitor's side. So let's see if Insightly has a press section. Press releases. Okay, so I don't see a press section on Insightly. They just list their press releases. But we do. So let's go onto our website. In the media, could go into press coverage and awards. And you could use the extension to find more information about any of the writers that are writing the content. Then again, you could quickly add them to Nimble by applying a tag to them, and then engage with them on social media and outreach to them with a request for an interview. You could introduce them to your CEO, or if you could also use it on any blog post. So if you Google or best sales influencers, there are probably some blog posts that have been written around this topic. And then you could go and hover over the people's names here and bring them into Nimble from here. So I would like to spend the remaining time answering your questions, and Megan already put them in the shared document with me. So I want to make sure that I go through all of them. If you find this webinar helpful and you would want to sign up for any future ones, we have one coming up next week on September 18th. I will be covering the entire Nimble application. So today we were focusing on a specific feature, which was just the Nimble prospecting tool and the extension. But next week it will be the entire Nimble database, I'll go through each individual tab and feature, and I will also do a demonstration of the mobile application. On September 25th, we'll be showing you how to use Nimble as a team. And on October 9th, I'll be hosting a case study webinar, which is a new webinar series that we just came up with. And on this specific webinar, I'll be inviting one of our customers, and in this case, it will be Brett Banyas, who is the CEO of OMI, and they're using their own product 366 degrees for drip campaigns. So if that is a feature that you are missing in Nimble and you would like to learn more how you can integrate drip campaigns and Nimble, we will be sending you a link to register for this webinar. On October 17th, we'll be hosting Liz Hyman, who's a sales funnel and sales strategy expert, and she'll be talking to our community about how to use your funnel to grow your business. You can also go to nimble.com/company/webinars to pick the webinar that you would like to register for. If Nimble seems like a tool that you would like to take a look at, we also have a special offer today for new users. So please go to nimble.com/offer/webinar30 and sign up there. And once you do, you will get 30 days to check out all our features. You will be able to invite your entire team and just see if Nimble is the right tool for you. If you have any more questions, please email us at care@nimble.com, and we'll make sure to get back to all of you. If you also have any suggestions for specific webinars, specific features that you would like us to focus on in future webinars, please let us know by either emailing us directly at marketing@nimble.com, or we also have a survey that will pop up at the end of today's session. So with that, thank you so much for your time today, and I hope this was helpful for you. Have a great day. Bye.